welcome to the Value Telling Podcast, where we talk to some amazing people about all aspects of their persuasive process and decision winning. We cover off what value telling content really is and why it plays an essential role in winning decisions, like securing that dream job, getting that buy-in from that hard-to-please client, winning a place on that PSL after a tough tender process, and so much more. At the heart of the podcast is celebrating all the great things people do to understand and deliver a high persuasive performance and what it really means. I'm Matt Trainer, and I'm delighted to spend a few moments with some amazing people. I'm not a guru, but I'm an experienced business leader, and I've worked in, led and advised hundreds of companies and thousands of people over the last 20 years. I've picked up a thing or two along the way. I've seen the good, the bad and the ugly, and I'm ready to share. If you value some thought-provoking culture, insightful science, inspirational snippets on all things decision winning, you're in the right place. So with a decade plus of experience working in in-house communication and marketing teams, and now as a communication expert and in the wonderful world of freelancing, I have the absolute pleasure of welcoming Rebecca to the podcast. Rebecca, welcome.
Hello. Hi,
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
No, you're very welcome, and thanks for joining us. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is that amazing leap of faith you've done relatively recently, which I know has a huge amount of vulnerability and bravery that's required for that. So I just want to start by telling us a little bit about that story and what persuaded or inspired you to go from the corporate world to the freelance world.
Yeah, so it's been something that I've wanted to do for quite a long time, but I wanted to build enough experience that would give me the confidence to actually go out on my own and for people to believe that I had the skills and experience to offer freelance services. And then I think with the pandemic as well, I know we keep talking about it, but it did make everybody reflect on kind of their career and their life and how we're spending our time. So that kind of played into it a little bit as well. And I thought, actually, if I'm not 100% happy in a job working for somebody else, then I should do something about it. And then the timing was just right. So so now I'm freelancing.
You're freelancing well, congratulations, and I hope it continues to be an amazing success. I know you've started really well. You said something there that made my ears prick up when you said that you wanted to build enough experience to almost, back yourself in that sort of role. Can you remember when there was a bit of a turning point where all of a sudden you felt like, okay, I feel like I'm really credible and would be of real value out in the market?
I think it was just, just over the time you're working, I've worked for a few different companies, and you're updating your LinkedIn profile or your CV, and then it kind of dawned on me, oh, okay, I've actually been doing marketing for over 10 years, and I felt like that was quite a milestone number. I think just based on that, I kind of thought, actually, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? And there's a lot more less experienced people freelancing, straight from university. So I thought, why not?
Why not? Love that. Okay. And for me, what I thought was quite interesting when you said, like, when is the right time? And for me, I'm with you. The party answer is, I don't think there is ever the perfect moment. So hence why there's a leap of faith and some risk involved. But have you seen anything along your journey, perhaps over the last 10 years or more recently as freelance, where timing is critical when delivering a key message or trying to inspire and persuade someone?
I think timing is always important. Within marketing, if we get on kind of a granular level, there's let's talk about social media. There's always kind of reports coming out to say, oh, when's the best time to post a message on LinkedIn, for example. So if you want to take advantage of what the stats say, then it's Monday to Thursday between 9 and 10 in the morning, or randomly 12 p.m. on a Wednesday. People just have a bit of downtime and they're flicking through, and that's apparently when you're going to get the best chance of engagement. So I think, yeah, on a granular level, that timing is important, and then within the first hour after you've released something, that's when you're going to get the best idea of your success.
Okay, great. And in previous podcasts and just generally talking to clients and prospect clients, that I often have a conversation about the importance of patience, where there is often a real pressure and need to seize the moment, but also trying to find that balance between being patient and making sure actually the messaging or the communication is right, because maybe a rushed message can be quite damaging. Have you got an insight into that?
Yeah, it's yeah, definitely. I think working within lots of corporate companies and reporting to especially management or leaders that sit outside of marketing, they're numbers focused, they're results focused, performance focused. They want everything done now. And it was often part of my role as kind of a quality lead, a champion of copywriting and making sure that everything that went out was to a high standard. So it was always a challenge to say, look, we can't get that out yet in its current state. It needs to be better, or it needs to have more proof points. And actually, by doing a rush job, you're going to more likely create damage to the brand reputation than get the quick results that you're after. So yeah, within marketing and within the corporate world, there's always the pressure for, the desire for quick wins versus actually having the patience to step back, pull all your resources together, and go out with something that's much more prepared and more compelling for the long game.
Yeah, great insight. Thanks ever so much for that. And you said proof points and, gathering all of your information together so you've got a full arsenal. I'm really interested in talking about that, because what's close to my heart is having a whole set of proof and evidence, or what I'm calling value telling content, and just making sure you're armed with all of these great success stories, or all of these facts and data, to be able to submit a real compelling message. Is that something that's close to your heart?
Yeah, definitely. And a big part of my job as a copywriter is making sure that any content I'm either editing or writing from scratch is as compelling as it can be. And a big part of what makes compelling content is fact, really, and strength of fact, as well as the emotive language and the fun and the urgency kind of around the message. But a lot of it does stem down to, well, truth. If you're saying that you're a market leader, can you prove it? Can you say, as per our award in the 2022 business awards, we have been listed as the top company in this field. You can rest assured that we can deliver what you need. So it's, if you're going to call yourself a market leader, you need to be able to back it up. And actually, it's fine if you're not the market leader. It's not necessarily a problem. You're going to have other strengths and USPs, but it's actually better not to call yourself that, because it does sound disingenuous, and actually it could make people challenge your credibility more than perhaps if you hadn't have used it. So sometimes within copywriting, it's about just as much about what you leave out than what you put in.
Yeah. And have you ever found yourself in a scenario where you're being asked to send a particular message, perhaps one that's on the back of maybe an anecdotal claim, like we're the best or the fastest growing company, something that's quite high level? So going back to my question, have you been asked to try and write some copy with that and really struggle to find the facts to support it? Have you got an example like that?
I think it happens quite a lot, to be honest. So if, well, let's say if I was copywriting something from scratch, And so one question, if I don't have the information already, it's about asking the person with the brief, so maybe the founder of the company or the CEO or the marketing manager, saying, okay, what is your business? What services do you provide? How are you different to your competitors? Who are your competitors? So I can get a better feel of it. And just trying to establish what their strengths are. And if they can't answer that question very clearly, it makes my job a lot harder. But I just have to keep digging until I find something that I think might make them a bit different, so that I can write copy that presents them in a good light.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's a tough challenge. As you will know, that something that I evangelize about is capturing really good examples and just having them available for you to put your hands on them quite quickly. So your example there leads me quite neatly into asking, how much of a challenge do you see clients have just trying to put their hands on good information? You said you asked them questions about what might make them different or what some of their strengths are. How forthcoming are these people with that information, or is it hard for them to put their hands on it?
Yeah, I think it varies. I think there's from different companies I've worked with. If I've worked with more of a startup company, or not necessarily just a startup, but say a business with less than 15 years experience, that's tricky for them because they're new to the game and they might still be trying to work out what their brand identity is and what their USP is. They know that they're in business and they're obviously doing well enough to stay in the game, but when it comes to their marketing and they're trying to grow, they obviously need a strong identity to help with that. But the challenges of companies that have been around for a long time is that they've kind of relied on the same strap lines the whole time, and actually the world moves on. So just because you were your strapline worked 10, 20 years ago, it doesn't mean that it's still resonating today. So it's there's different challenges depending on how long a company has been around.
Yeah, and that's really interesting, because I think I perhaps hadn't have thought that like brand identity or strap lines would necessarily evolve as much as perhaps you're suggesting, actually. So that was quite insightful for me. But I'm also presuming, and challenge this or agree if you do, that their evidence, so their proof, their case studies, whatever sort of collateral they're pulling together, I'm guessing that can get outdated, and it's important to update that as and when something relevant happens.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I think the more complex and perhaps large the organization is, the harder it is to make sure that that content is kind of banked somewhere and also is kept up to date. And it's never really, in the companies that I've worked for, it's never really been a priority.
Okay.
Because I think leaders think that a lot of leaders I've worked for focus on the here and now and not so much the long-term view. And ultimately that's because they need to make sure that the revenue is coming in each month. But we all know that there's got to be an element of short-term pain of collecting that information and making sure it's up to date for the long-term gain of, hey, look, now we've got a bank of content that we can draw upon every time we're writing something persuasive. So yeah, it's definitely something that I've experienced in working in big marketing departments.
And what would be your message to some of our listeners that are in that scenario that perhaps don't see it as a huge priority, because that in their mind they've got bigger fish to fry, they've got some here and now actions? What would be your message to those guys?
I'd say your future self will thank you if you do it now.
Great.
Spend, it's investment, isn't it? It's investment in time. If let's say it takes one person, whether that's a marketing person or a sales person or whoever's the subject matter expert, let's say it takes them a week to pull together all of these amazing facts and testimonials and bringing them all up to date. But then that's a week's work that then saves minutes and hours and days and weeks of trying to pull all together that content each and every time you need to use it for a presentation or a bid or marketing materials. So it might seem like a lot of time right now to give up, but actually that time is an investment.
There are lots of cool things happening in your company every day. As a leader, it's hard to keep track of the great things that happen, and remote work doesn't make it easier. Capturing and using this information that we call value-telling content is important, as it is needed to make a compelling bid, a sales pitch, deliver a performance review, and so much more. Blu-J can help supercharge your persuasive power by creating content that converts. Our platform works like a logbook that records the important stuff. Our powerful search makes it quick and easy to find what you need. Win more decisions with Blu-J. Book a call on our website and get a guided tour of what we do.